Scott Redding then crossing the line for what is his fastest time of this session so far. A bit of a step forward from Ducati over the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, really important for Loris Baz up inside the top 5. Scott Redding now finding time as well, moving up to 7th fastest. They're both in front of Rinaldi now at this stage as well, and that's been the pecking order for Ducati this weekend. Baz really strong in free practice 1, and now Scott Redding able to make that step as well. So we'll see if Redding's able to put in a decent couple of laps now to finish off this session as well.
5th, 7th and 8th in free practice 2, 6th, 7th and 8th on the combined times. Not exactly sparkling, I would suggest, so far. I don't think it's been the day that Ducati might have hoped for to open their weekend.
Well, this is going to be a tough track for Ducati as well. It's traditionally been a bit of a challenge for them with the V4R, and it doesn't play to the strengths of that bike. And I think that's one of the big challenges for them this weekend. It could well be a damage limitation weekend, but it's also a weekend that's always going to be a little bit like that, considering how strong Ray and Kawasaki have been here over the last 6 years, the steps Yamaha have made. So you do expect to see Ray and Toprak right up at the front all the way through this weekend. It's just really interesting to see the likes of Haslam make his step forward as well. Really impressive to see Gerloff up inside the top 5 as well. That bodes well for Yamaha as well.
Fastest sector times in this session, 3 of the 4 of them for Jonathan Ray, and frankly, he's mainly picking up his advantage because other riders are able to match him in 1 sector, maybe 2 at the most, but nobody's able to match him across the whole lap here in Portimao, at least in free practice 2.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things to take from this session. And even when you look at him compared to his teammate Alex Lowes, in the overall best sector times, Ray is a couple of tenths of a second faster in sector 1. He's a 10th up in sector 2, and in the second half of the lap he finds another couple of tenths as well. So his ideal time in this session really impressive, and close to what he's been able to do for his overall fastest time, and that's what gives you that couple of tenths of a second.
Still Alex Lowes, Leon Haslam, a couple of others able to outpace really Jonathan Ray through that 4th and final sector. I wonder whether that might be as much down to his approach through sector 3 as it is his actual speed through that 4th sector, and even then it's only by a tenth, as we saw from Haslam just a couple of moments ago.
I think it's interesting though, because in the past that's been a sector where Ray's been really strong as well, but obviously enough, he's strong everywhere around this track. That's why he's had such a good record here in the past. I think what's going to be interesting is to see how Lowes and Haslam's pace would be for longer stints. Obviously, we've seen that Haslam on the Honda has struggled in the longer races this year, and then obviously Lowes with his hand injury, it's going to be a real challenge for him. But there's plenty of reasons to be encouraged if you're Lowes or Haslam, think that, yeah, we've got something this weekend.
11 riders all covered by less than a second, and they are your key favourites, to be perfectly honest. The only rider that we've tended to see fare a little better over the course of weekends has been Axel Bassani, and he at the moment is only 14th fastest, and that's probably more a symptom of Ducati's struggles over the course of the day today than it is anything about him. With 2 minutes to go, free practice 2 sees Jonathan Ray leading the way ahead of this man, Alex Lowes, P2, Leon Haslam, Toprak Razgatlioglu and Garrett Gerloff. There's a look at Alex Lowes' stint time from his second stint.
Yeah, and you can see 1 slow lap there for Lowes. The rest of them pretty competitive and pretty closely matched, so good grouping at this stage for Lowes, and that's about what he can do out there as well. It's going to be a real challenge for him this weekend, physically demanding here, considering the extent of that hand injury he has, and all the injuries he's had through the course this year. They all add up over the course of a season, and for Alex Lowes right now, that hand injury is going to be a big concern.
A couple of riders further down the order looking to make some improvements on their latest laps. Michael van der Mark and Isaac Viñales both up. Viñales after the first sector, Michael van der Mark heading through towards the end now of sector 3. Van der Mark has actually lost a little bit of time through sector 3, so might not be able to improve at this time around. Garrett Gerloff certainly has improved again, 141.872. Good to hear that I think the word back was used at one point during that interview when we were talking about GRT, and Garrett Gerloff, if he is back to the kind of form we saw from him in the early stages of the season, if he is back to that kind of level of confidence, then he could be in for a good weekend.
Well, I hope for Garrett that he's able to build on this, and once he gets into a battle tomorrow, he's really able to fight with people. We've seen it over the course of the last few rounds that he's been able to bridge gaps to riders, and then he's taken a long time to overtake them. He's clearly been a little bit gun-shy over the last few rounds, and understandably so after what had happened earlier in the season. But it's from this point on, you really want to see him build on something. We've still got 3 rounds left this season. We've still got 9 races left this year. And it's difficult not to say that he hasn't fallen down the pecking order in Yamaha, because Andrea Locatelli's jumped ahead of him. He's made such good progress from Assen onwards that it's probably made it even more noticeable what's happened with Gerloff as well. So hopefully in these final 3 rounds we get to see the return of the real Garrett Gerloff, the one that really lit up so much of the early season.
Just about to see the checkered flag fall. Scott Redding was up after the first 2 sectors. Gets a little bit of traffic that he weaves his way through in fairly straightforward fashion, but he's not going to improve in the second half of his latest lap. It does feel like riders at the moment are able to make up a little bit of time in the first couple of sectors. Michael van der Mark and Isaac Vignales examples that I mentioned previously, but not quite so much in the second half of the lap, where clearly Jonathan Rea is making the difference in sector 3.
Yeah, you can see for Jonathan Rea there, it looked like he just dived down the inside of someone through there at Lachlan Epis, and he's just coming through now to finish off sector 3. We'll see if he's able to improve in his final lap. 3/10 of a second to make up. So for Jonathan Rea, this is going to be the end of the session. He's not going to find any more time, and he'll still feel pretty good with how this session's gone. A couple of tenths of a second in hand over Lowe's and Haslam, and most importantly 3/10 of a second in hand over Toprak and 4th.
Does look as though it's going to be P1 for Jonathan Rea regardless, as he crosses the line for his final lap. 1 minute 41.833. His fastest time in this session, 1:41.466. Both Scott Redding and Michael Ruben Rinaldi are up and running on their latest laps. Another bit of celebration from Jonathan Rea. He's clearly enjoying himself so far in Portimao.
Yeah, it's like Fabio Quattaroro's on the bike celebrating there the fast time at the end of a practice session. You don't tend to see that too often from Jonathan Rea. We saw it in Jerez as well. He came into the pit box, did a stoppie into his mechanics as well. So we'll wait and see if this is something to really build on for Rea, and that's where tomorrow's opening race the weekend, that's going to be so important, just to see if he's really able to maintain this form and give himself the chance of being able to win tomorrow's race.
Back to Redding and Rinaldi, who I was talking about a couple of moments ago, both set to improve on their previous best times in the closing seconds now after the checkered flag in FP2. Redding crosses the line. It is an improved time to 1:41.986. That's faster than he was able to go earlier on today as well. And for Michael Ruben Rinaldi, not quite able to improve on his best time during this session. So they will finish 7th and 8th in FP2 behind Loris Baz in P6, and the same on the combined times, the overall times on Friday here in Portimao. Those 3 on Ducati machinery will finish 6th, 7th and 8th. The top 5 positions in FP2, Jonathan Rea, Alex Lowe's, Leon Haslam, Toprak Razgatlioglu and Garrett Gerloff. And as for the combined times, that'll make it Rea, Lowe's, Gerloff, Haslam and Razgatlioglu in that order. That's a good effort from Leon Haslam in particular. Has got to go down as one of the standout stars of free practice 2. But for KRT, a 1-2, they couldn't have asked for any more than that.